This passage focuses on Jesus Christ as the ultimate and eternal high priest, chosen and appointed by God, not by his own glorification, but by the divine will of the Father. It begins by quoting two significant Old Testament passages to highlight Christ's divine role. First, God declares, "You are my son, today I have begotten you," Psalm 2 verse 7, emphasizing Jesus' unique relationship as the Son of God. Second, God affirms Jesus' priesthood, stating, "You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek," Psalm 110:4. This links Christ to the mysterious figure of Melchizedek, a priest-king from the Old Testament, whose priesthood is eternal and not bound by the Levitical lineage. The passage then reflects on the humanity of Christ, recounting his earthly life. During his time on earth, Jesus offered up prayers and supplications with intense cries and tears to the Father, the one who could save him from death. This points to moments such as his agony in Gethsemane, Luke 22:41-44, where Jesus demonstrated complete dependence on the Father, even as he faced suffering and death. His prayers were heard because of his reverent submission and godly fear, showing his perfect alignment with the Father's will. Although Jesus is the Son of God, he learned obedience through what he suffered. This does not imply that Jesus was ever disobedient, but that his human experience of suffering enabled him to fully identify with humanity. Through this process, he was perfected, meaning he completed his earthly mission and became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him. As the high priest in the order of Melchizedek, Jesus provides a unique priesthood that is eternal, divine, and accessible to everyone who seeks him. Finally, the author acknowledges the depth of these truths, admitting that they are difficult to explain to those who are dull of hearing. This calls for believers to have open hearts and minds, ready to receive and reflect on the profound significance of Christ's eternal priesthood. Jesus, as God's appointed high priest. Jesus' priesthood was not self-appointed but established by God's divine decree. His priesthood is eternal, surpassing the temporary nature of Levitical priests. The order of Melchizedek. This priesthood symbolizes an eternal and universal ministry, not limited by earthly regulations. It foreshadows Christ's unique role as both king and priest. Christ's humanity and obedience. Jesus fully embraced the human experience, learning obedience through suffering. His suffering was not in vain. It equipped him to empathize with our weaknesses and offer eternal salvation. Eternal salvation for the obedient. Jesus became the author and source of eternal life for those who obey him. His priesthood guarantees access to God's grace and forgiveness for all who believe. Challenge to listeners. The truths about Christ's priesthood require believers to have open hearts and minds, embracing the profound and sometimes difficult concepts to fully understand his eternal role.